It's the 3 on PLAXtv.
Yeah, no, that's just crazy. I never thought that I would have to do a video like this exactly, because I thought that it was general consensus among the basketball community, regardless of how you feel about the individuals or whatever the case may be. I still thought that it was general consensus that the top 3 greatest NBA players of all time were Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and LeBron James. Regardless of order, no particular order, but I just thought that regardless of order or how you feel about the players individually or anything like that, or what era you grew up in or whatever, that those were the top 3 greatest players of all time, generally, in general consensus. But I was surprised to find out that that's not true to everybody. Not true to everybody. And I must say that I was extremely shocked. I believe last week I put out a video about Dr. J's all-time top 10 all-time players list that he put out, and about how he was wrong, and he was horribly wrong. Like he didn't have LeBron James on it. He didn't have Kobe Bryant. He didn't have Tim Duncan. He didn't have Steph Curry. He had like Karl Malone and Tiny Nate Archibald and certain people like that. Some of his list was correct, but a lot of it was just wrong. And in my video, I said my piece about how Jordan, Kareem, and LeBron are the top 10 or the top 3 greatest players of all time, and then everybody else is up for debate. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure it out for the most part. And a lot of old heads in my comments, they'll probably be in the comments of this video as well. A lot of old heads in my comments came and said that LeBron was not top 3 all time, and he's not even top 10. And I have to say, with all due respect to all of those guys that commented on my video, and to all the people that agree with them, you are wrong. You are wrong. You are disgustingly wrong. You're horribly wrong. And your basketball knowledge is in severe question, if not unusable. Like, I can't even acknowledge your basketball takes, because that is just beyond like hating. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let me put it like this, right? Before I get into everything else. I don't necessarily like Michael Jordan, okay? Mostly because of just certain things that he's done off the court. Like, he's not an advocate for the black community. Like, he basically doesn't give a fuck about the black community, even though he's a black man and one of the most popular black men in history, basically. But he seems like he doesn't really care about the black community. You know, this is a personal theory of mine, something that we joke around about. It's probably, I don't know if it's true or not, but he possibly played a part in his father being, you know, unalived due to some gambling issues. Again, I don't know if that's true. That's just a rumor. You know, and as far as on the court, you know, as great as he is, he's a ball hog. Like, he only passes in very seldom situations. He's not necessarily a team player, and he's disrespectful to his teammates. Like, he leads by force. And as effective as that was, because he did win 6 championships and he's a very successful player, I just don't necessarily agree with that play style per se. But even with all that being said, right? Michael Jordan, if he's not the greatest player of all time, he's definitely very close to, if he's not the GOAT, right? And that's from a guy that doesn't necessarily like him. And the reason I say this is because even though, you know, I may not like him, I understand who Michael Jordan is. He can't be stopped. He's an elite level defender. He's a fucking winner. His killer instinct is like no others. And regardless of what you want to say about the 90s, he dominated a decade of basketball. And I say this to say that as basketball fans, I guess we don't have to be, but I would like to be, because this is what I am, as unbiased as possible when we talk about things like that, like the all-time lists and who's better than who. I would like for us to be as unbiased as possible. And these guys that were in my comments were basically just hating on LeBron James, and that being the reason that they don't consider him top 3 or not even top 10, which again is fucking insane. Like, they was talking about stuff like flopping and like saying the league today is solved, which, you know, I agree to some extent. But regarding the flopping thing, unfortunately, that's how people get calls. The NBA is starting to crack down on it, but that's just happens to be a way that people get calls. Is it corny? Yes, of course. Does it look soft? Yes, it does look soft, but that's just part of the era. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unfortunate. I don't necessarily like it, but that's how you get calls. And when you're trying to get a call, you flop. You know what I'm saying? I'm not condoning it, but to penalize LeBron for something that's just part of the game right now, it shouldn't be. The NBA is trying to get rid of it, but people like James Harden and Chris Paul and LeBron and just different. I've seen a lot of different guys flop to try to get a call. Shit, when I play pickup, I might make a little move to get a call because I'm holding somebody's shirt. And then when they push me off, I'm flopping back just to get a call. Shit, they used to do that in the night. Reggie Miller used to do that. They just didn't call it flopping. Reggie Miller would push on people and pull on their shirt and elbow them and then jump back like they hit him. You see what I'm saying? John Starks head butted Reggie Miller. He just lightly tapped his nose on accident. And Reggie act like he died. You see what I'm saying? So to make that flopping thing a part of the reason why he's not top 3 or even top 10, it's kind of crazy because they were doing that in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and into now. So I don't really necessarily agree with that. Another point I want to get into, one guy said that, which threw me all the way off. One guy said that Magic Johnson was the GOAT. Now, I love Magic, right? Magic, Steph is getting there. Steph is either there or getting there. But Magic, up until now, has been undoubtedly the greatest point guard of all time. So from the 80s to now, so 30, 40 years, he's been the greatest point guard of all time. Steph is now, added himself to that argument, but regardless, 30 years of being the greatest point guard ever, and then you're just now being, challenged. That's amazing, right? I think he got 5 championships. He has MVPs. He's Magic Johnson, right? But saying Magic's the GOAT over Kareem, over Jordan, over LeBron, over even, dare I say it, Larry Bird, which I kind of have them tied. I'll get into that in a second. Also makes me think you don't necessarily know. You're stuck in an era. And a lot of people are like that. But that just leads me to believe you shouldn't be debating basketball if you're stuck in the 80s. Because Magic does have a great argument for the GOAT, but when you bring up those other 3 guys, it's not even close. It's Kareem, Jordan, and LeBron are so by far better than everybody else that it's laughable to even try to take that away from him. You see what I'm saying? In my opinion, I just think that's crazy. Like, those 3 guys are so just generational and just beyond crazy with their statistics, their accomplishments. the eye test, everything that is just like, how could you? You know what I'm saying? And that threw me off when the guy said Magic was the GOAT to him. Now, again, with all due respect to Magic Johnson, how... Let me rephrase. Sorry. When I think about Magic Johnson, I have him and Larry Bird tied, right? At 4 or 5, right? They're just tied. To me, this is just my opinion on it. They're tied to me. And if that's the case, how can you be the GOAT when you can't even rise above a singular person that you played against on a regular basis? That's basically your lifelong nemesis. I can't put you in the GOAT conversation when you and somebody else are this close together. You see what I'm saying? Again, but with all due respect to Magic Johnson, he does have an argument, but to call him the GOAT at this point, I feel is just kind of like you're just stuck in your ways and you're stuck in the era. Now, somebody else, I know some people might get on my bumper about this one, but this part is just my personal opinion on it. Somebody else said that LeBron isn't better than Kobe Bryant. Kobe does have 5 championships. He has MVPs. Kobe does also have a valid argument for the GOAT. Everybody in the top 10 has a valid argument for the GOAT, right? But I know people are gonna get on my bumper about this. Kobe can't be the GOAT because he copied somebody's whole flow, bar for bar, word for word. Shout out to Soulja Boy. He stole somebody's whole flow, bar for bar, word for word, copied it, and just did what they did. And the person I'm talking about is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, is that smart? Yes. If you're, especially at the time, now it might be a little debatable between him and LeBron, but at the time, Jordan was the undisputed GOAT, right? When Kobe was coming into the league and stuff like that. So if you're gonna copy anybody, you copy the best motherfucker doing it. You see what I'm saying? Like and he did it well. He basically copied it literally word for word. He got 5 championships. He didn't get 6, but he got 5. He has MVPs. He's one of the top scorers in NBA history. He scored 81 points in a game. Like he did it. The ball head, the turnaround fadeaway J's, the killer instinct, which he took from killer instinct to Mamba mentality. It makes sense to do, but it's hard for me to give somebody the credit of being the GOAT when they just completely copied somebody else. Now with LeBron, and until we see, we don't know what'll happen in the future, but as of right now, LeBron is such an Adonis. Like physically, like we don't even know what he do. He spends millions of dollars on his body every year. So we don't know. It's kind of tougher to copy him because you got to be 6'8", have 1% body fat. You got to be 260 pounds, but run like a goddamn deer, like a goddamn freight train. So that's tougher. But to copy Jordan is slightly easier. You just got to work really fucking hard. Can everybody do it? No, because then we would have a bunch of Michael Jordans. That's why only Kobe was able to do it. I'm just saying that it's a little bit simpler to copy MJ. Again, I'm not taking away from Kobe. I love Kobe. I respect Kobe. But I can't give him the GOAT. I can't give him top 3 because he just copied another dude that was in the top 3. You know what I'm saying? That's like rap. It's like rap in that sense. You're a good rapper. You're a great rapper even, but like you just took dude beat, took his hook. You took his beat, you took his hook. You changed a couple bars around, but it was basically the same premise. And then you put the songs out. They still good songs, but I heard those songs before. You see what I'm saying? But, that's a whole other thing. So I'm just going over what some of the people were saying. Basically. Now, that was just some of the stuff people were saying, and people were saying he was soft and the era was soft, the era he plays in is soft and all that stuff. I can agree with that, right? But when I'm talking about those top 3 guys, all of those guys had advantages in their time period. Like in the 70s when Kareem, that was like the meat and potatoes of Kareem's career. He played 20 years, but that was his prime, basically. In the 70s, Kareem had a little bit easier because majority of the league was getting high, drinking, smoking cigarettes, eating fast food, not really giving a fuck about the game, fighting. Kareem was one of the few guys that actually cared about winning, cared about dominating, cared about the game, and wasn't getting high. Like, guys used to get high in the locker room during the game. Some guys would be drinking out of flasks on the sideline during the game. So they're in the game drunk and high. Of course Kareem is going to fucking kill him. I'm already better than y'all. And now you're hindering yourself with drugs and alcohol. I'm going to score 50 on you every fucking night. You drunk bastard. It's like you can't, there's nothing you going to be able to do with me. You can't check me anyway. But now you really can't check me. And that's part of the reason why Kareem was able to be the number 1 scorer of all time for as long as he was. Michael Jordan, his advantage. Jordan's advantage was that the league in the 90s was very like aggressive and stuff like that, but those guys weren't near Jordan, like skill-wise. Let me just go over some of the starting guards during that time. John Starks, Jeff Hornacek, Reggie Miller, who I love Reggie. But Reggie ain't on Jordan's level. Clyde Drexler, not on Jordan's level. Reggie and Clyde were the 2 best guards other than Jordan. And they not even like half of them. They barely half of him. So yes, Jordan is going to dominate. Who's fucking First of all, Jordan had to play against Magic, Bird, the Pistons, the Bad Boy Pistons, all of these crazy teams in the 80s, and he got his ass whooped by those teams. But he also learned from those teams because he's a great player. So when the 90s came around and the teams just weren't as good and the players just weren't as good, and you're playing against John Starks, who they found in a goddamn grocery store and told him to come to practice with him, come to training camp, Jordan probably was like, they got this nigga out of a Safeway? A Tops friendly market? I'm about to whoop his ass. Are you crazy? You got bus boys and waiters and niggas that probably should be in jail playing against me? They can slam me on the ground all they want. The Pistons did that 2-3 years ago. I'm about to whoop y'all ass. Straight up. So that was Jordan's advantage. Guys just weren't as good as he was, barely even close. Then LeBron's advantage is that guys just don't, in today's game, don't really care about winning. I guess it's sort of similar to Kareem's advantage, is just minus the drugs, because the guys today are more skilled than guys in the past, right? They're very skilled. They got handle. They can shoot. They athletic, all that stuff. But they don't have that dog. They don't want to win. They don't really care about winning or like surpassing anybody or anything like that. They're just trying to collect a check, get bitches, look cool. Like, they don't care, buy chains and shit like that. Like, they don't care. A majority of the league is TikTokers. Like Josh Giddey and DeAndre Ayton and all these guys, or they streamers or whatever. They don't care about basketball the way players in the past have. And that's an advantage for LeBron, because LeBron cares. And when I really think about it, it's not a lot of guys in the league now that I could think of that I feel like truly care about winning. Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Steph Curry, maybe Kawhi, but I don't think Kawhi cares as much because like he's won 2 championships already, so I feel like that's dwindled. So like really 3, 4, maybe 5 guys I could name that really care about winning and truly want to win and truly want to be great. The rest of the league, they just out there. Like, if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. Like Jokic, as great as Nikola Jokic is, he does not care about basketball. And he probably doesn't really care about winning. The reason he wins is because that's his job and he takes his job seriously. But The NBA is a 9 to 5 to him. He hates going to work. He just won a horse racing championship and in Serbia, in his hometown or whatever. And he was jumping for joy, guys. He was drinking, dancing, jumping for joy, partying. When he won the NBA championship and got finals MVP, the dude was like, yeah, I just want this parade to hurry up so I can get home back to my horses. And Jokic is one of the best players in the world right now. And he doesn't even give a fuck. You see what I mean? So it's like that's LeBron's advantage. You know what I'm saying? I say that to say all three of those greats have advantages. Had advantages during their time periods. That's just what it is. Even Bill Russell, if you want to throw Bill Russell in there, Bill Russell dominated because the league just wasn't as good. It was only 8 teams. As long as you get past Wilt and the Lakers, you pretty much good. And then when Wilt went to the Lakers, it was like, okay, I can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to win all the championships because I just got to beat these niggas for real. You know what I'm saying? But back to my original point. I know I talked about a bunch of stuff, but it all matters in this whole conversation because I was still dumbfounded by it. LeBron James is at the bare minimum top 3. And if you don't agree with that, you're crazy and you don't know basketball the way you think you do. He is the number 1 scorer in NBA history, which he just got that accolade, but he broke a record that's been standing for like 40 to 50 years. He can play all 5 positions, not just play them, but he can guard and play on offense, all 5 positions at an elite level. Not just be there, but at an elite MVP level. And that's not me just blowing smoke. He's done it. There's graphics of him in different seasons playing different positions because that's just what the team may have needed at the time. And in each of those seasons, he played at an MVP level. At point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. That's not me saying it. There's graphics that you can look up and go see. Consistently. For 20 years, the man has averaged 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Or a steal and 2 blocks, whatever. Consistently. From year 10 to year 20 to year 5 to year 15, he has averaged around 28 points, around 7 rebounds, around 7 assists a game. That's unheard of. In year 20, and you know, unless he's hurt or unless he regresses terribly, he's probably going to do the same thing in year 21. This previous year, he just took a team that probably shouldn't even made the playoffs to the Eastern Conference Finals. Yes, did they make moves in the All-Star break? Yes, they did. They did make moves in the All-Star break to improve their team. But regardless, that's not necessarily an advantage because they literally changed their whole team around in the middle of the season and still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And he did that as the best player on the team. He has 4 NBA championships. Now, you can talk about his record in the finals and stuff like that, but the man went to the finals 10 times. Unencumbered at all. Easily went to the finals 10 times. And the teams that he lost to, besides the Dallas Mavericks in 2011, which I still don't understand why he fucking lost to them. Besides the Dallas Mavericks in 2011, he has only lost to some of the greatest teams to ever be in the NBA. The Spurs, who he lost to 2 or 3 times, not twice. He lost in 2007 and he lost in like 2013 or something like that, or 2014 to the Spurs. And the Golden State Warriors, who without Kevin Durant was 73-9 and considered one of the greatest teams to ever be assembled. And with Kevin Durant, just got better. So the teams that he's lost to in the finals have only been, besides one team, only been the greatest teams ever assembled. He's consistently an all-NBA player on defense and offense. Some guys was even saying he don't have a post game, which that's crazy because now he does. At first, he didn't have a post game, but around Miami time, he developed a post game. So what? For the last 7-8 years, he's had a post game. Was he always able to shoot the way he shoots now? No, but again, he developed that. So now he can shoot. You can't leave him open. He's not the greatest shooter ever, not like that, but you can't leave him open. And when he do that little dumbass look at the ball thing, the ball's going in. It's a bucket every time. When he do that, look at the ball, come back. I don't know what that does to him, but he makes it. I would like to see a shot chart, percentage chart on how many shots he makes when he does that little dumbass move, because I've never seen him miss it personally. But all jokes aside, though, again, I reiterate, if you're top 3 all time, not personal, because personal preference is different. My personal my personal favorite player ever is like Big O and Charles Barkley and guys like that. Personally, I would name those guys. But realistically, if your top 3 players all time doesn't consist of Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and LeBron James, the order doesn't matter. But if those 3 aren't in your top 10, your top 3, if those 3 aren't your top 3 realistically, I can't respect your opinion of basketball because for some reason it's clouded. Because that just doesn't make sense. Those 3 guys are just by far the best players to ever do it in the NBA. And if you're letting your personal feelings of an era or your personal feelings of like the individual cloud your judgment on that, then you shouldn't be debating basketball. And if Magic and Kobe are your GOATs, then you're just a hyper Laker fan. And I understand that, but we got to be realistic. And that's the bottom line of what I'm saying. We got to be realistic. You could love who you love. You could have favorites, and I get that. But we have to be realistic. Well, I guess we don't have to. But I would like for us to be realistic as a basketball community. And I must say, I was extremely, shocked at the amount of guys. It was 3 to 5 guys saying that LeBron wasn't top 3. Some of them was even saying he wasn't even top 10. And then Dr. J not having them in his list, but Dr. J didn't have a lot of people in his list, like Kobe, Timmy, and stuff like that. That whole list was kind of crazy. But it just threw me off. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. I was like, what? I thought we all generally agreed on this. And then to find out that we don't it just threw me off. It just completely threw me off. But I know people are going to be on my bumper about this video. I know this video was a little longer than other episodes of the 3. I just had a lot to get off my chest with this. By all means, comment down below. I am more than happy to go back and forth with the old heads or anybody that doesn't agree with me. Or doesn't agree with the general consensus. And again, this isn't me. Some of the opinions were my own personal opinions, but for the most part, the top 3 thing I truly thought was general consensus, and I still think is general consensus as far as I understand. I hear players say this, I hear analysts say this, my peers and different other basketball fans that I've talked to say this. So when the old heads was coming at me with the LeBron hate, I was like, okay, you could not like him, but saying he's not top 3 is just insanity. That's crazy. And you need your basketball fan card revoked or suspended at the very least. But Comment down below. Talk to me. I'll talk back to you guys. Try to keep it as respectful as possible because I'm gonna be respectful with you. But with other than that, we could debate all day. Like if I'm at work, if I'm at home, if I see your comment, I'm gonna get right back at you with my own, response to it. If you agree with me, comment down below and talk to the old heads and the other people and tell them why they're fucking wrong. But without further ado, guys, make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ding that notification bell so you know every time I drop a video. Definitely make sure you subscribe if you're a basketball fan because I talk about a bunch of different basketball stuff, my own theories, facts, anything really, the WNBA, anything. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you tune into my other episodes of the 3 on PLAXtv, and most of all, I love you guys. Peace out.
It's the 3 on PLAXtv.